How's it going, guys? So today I want to use geometry nodes to create a grassy field. I've been really inspired by the work by Smeka, and she makes these great grassy fields. And a couple times I've tried to recreate them with the node system, and it ended up getting way too heavy on my computer because the particle system can get really heavy really quick. And with what I found with geometry nodes, they tend to be a little bit easier on my computer. So I'm going to give this another go and attempt this. I've not rehearsed this like I do most of my tutorials. This is just off the cuff trying this out. So let's go ahead and we're going to get our geometry here. I'm going to keep the scale. And if this works, we'll go ahead and make a quick environment with it. I'm going to give it 30 faces just for now. Let's go ahead and just make our grass. So that's going to be another plane that I'll bring over here. This is a technique CG Matter did like a year and a half ago, I think. And I've pretty much used it ever since. It's a great technique for making quick grass that isn't like crazy on your system. Basically a low poly grass, but since it's so small, low poly isn't a big deal. Much like the last video I uploaded here for Patreon, you don't have to, this isn't intended to be like a follow along tutorial. It's more of just kind of learn from the process as it goes. And yeah, that's what we're doing. Cool. And then we're just going to bring that up. All right, that's pretty good. And then actually, let's go ahead like that. All right, cool. Cool. Looks pretty good. Very thin. But grass is also pretty thin, so I think this is all we need to do. And then I'm going to go ahead, RX90. I'm going to go ahead and bring that anchor point to the top. This can get pretty hectic once we finish the process on modeling this, but it's okay. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get the array modifier going. And then we'll spread it out, something like this. We may end up redoing this. So I'm going to make a duplicate once we're done with this process. Because it usually takes 1 or 2 tries. But I think I've done it enough. Again, not rehearsed, so we're just playing this by ear. From what I remember, it's been a minute since I've tried to do grass. I want to make a substantial amount for sure. Cool. All right. We're going to go ahead and apply those modifiers. And then we're going to separate by loose parts. And what that's going to do is make all of these individual pieces their own kind of thing. I do want to randomize transform here on the scale here. So I want to make some of these guys, I forget you can't really hit Control Z in randomize transform. I want to make some of these guys taller than others. There we go. More organic looking grass. Perfect. And then we're going to go ahead and randomize rotation. I'm going to bring that to 0. Let's see, where do we want to randomize rotation? Here we go. So randomize that rotation. Hopefully none of them are going crazy. Cool. And then we'll just go ahead. And then location. Randomize. I want that to be 0. I want them all to be on the ground. Okay, they're pretty spread out. So let's bring them kind of back together. All right, cool. So that looks random enough for now. Wait, actually what I could do is just kind of go crazy with it. Okay. So that's as crazy as it's going to get. All right, we can work with that. I think what I can do is just kind of duplicate and totally rotate like this. I want a nice organic looking clump of grass. This might be the best one I've ever done. All right. Now what we're going to do is join them all back together. And I'm just going to delete some of these guys that are going way out of bounds. Okay, I'm going to go Control J. There we go. So Control J. I edited it out, but it took me a couple tries. It didn't really work the first time. And luckily my anchor point is already where I want it to be, so I didn't actually have to change it. Now that we have our grass, we can go back here and head straight into geometry nodes. So we're going to click new and then point instance. Here we go, point instance right here. And then we have this, we're going to call this grass so we can search it. In fact, we don't have to search it. We can just use the eyedropper. I mean, the dropper tool here. All right, so now we have, bring up the value here, which I'm kind of doing the same things as I did in the last video. So, but we're gonna switch it up. All right, so now we have this. We're gonna go with point distribute, so that it's not so grid-like and it's far more natural. So now we have this. We can actually bring that value up on the scale. But again, we're getting, it's looking a little more natural clumping wise, but let's go ahead and randomize the scale. Attribute randomize. Scale, bring that max down. And here we have it, some natural. All right, so here we have, I'm gonna go ahead and add just another plane to have some more control over some elements here. So patchy grass, if I go ahead and look at what Smeka did, multiple colors in the grass, different stuff like that, which is super nice. We can go ahead and bring up the density. Also, if I can just kind of bring up cavity. Outline really kind of makes this viewport easier to look at. Okay. So if we bring that scale, scale's not working anymore because we have scale here. So we can bring up that point distribute. So the 0 portions of the scale are these puny ones. We don't want that. So we'll put 0.01. Possibly, there we go. We just might want to make sure it's evenly filling. But I want to make sure that it's not, the grass isn't looking unnatural. We can hop into Eevee here, which actually don't work, hopping into cycles. Hop into cycles and get an HDRI. So, shadeless grass looks kind of nice. I'm not upset with it. And the bonus here is it's not slowing my computer down yet. So we can really kind of go crazy with this. Let's go ahead and shade the grass. So head into shading, click on the grass, click new. We can go ahead, get a color ramp. Oops, didn't click on it. Plug it in. We're going to pick our grass colors. Grass, at least where I grew up, tends to be on the yellow and greener, a lot more on the yellow side. So that's what I'm going to do. Maybe in other parts of the world it's different. And then make it much darker. Much darker. And then we'll get noise texture. Noise texture and a texture coordinate. And then let's kind of see how that's looking here. Way too small on the details here. Let's bring detail to 12 so it's nice and grainy and sharp. And then we'll bring this up, bring our color ramp in. And then since it's grass, we need to play around with the scale. There we go. It's way more grass looking. B-spline on the color. We'll play... Does grass need to be subsurface? Possibly. I don't believe Eevee likes subsurface, so we're going to stay away from that. For now. We may do subsurface later. And then let's go ahead and make this plane. Let's put the same material on the plane, and then we'll duplicate the material because I don't want it to be doing that. So I'll duplicate the material, scale back to 1, and now complements it a lot better. And then let's see how this looks in cycles. Yeah, I'm not. It's still a little unorganic, but if it's not the focal point, if the grass isn't the focal point, you can really get away with this. Especially if you're trying to stylize the grass, make it other colors, which we can certainly easily do. We'll do like something that Smeka has done before, which that's a brown. Then we'll do kind of a pink. Oh, I'm shading the plane below. I'm not shading the grass. There we go. So bring this up. Kind of color like that. And then we'll add a vibrant purple. And then we'll go ahead. I'm going to copy that color ramp for the material below. All right, cool. We have some stylized grass now. Very cool. All right, so now that we have that grass kind of figured out, I want to go ahead and look at what Smeka does with like landscapes and stuff. And I kind of picked out this as an idea. So what I'm going to do is get our geometry nodes back here. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my point distribute down to pretty much to 0. Also, I'm not sure why the grass looks like that, but I did something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of start over and just delete the plane so that we can kind of start over with our geometry. And we can kind of quickly zoom through this. So I'm going to go ahead and get I'm going to cancel, Control A, apply the scale. We're going to subdivide it by 100 so we can get some nice displacements. And then I'm going to go ahead and displace this. New. We're going to get clouds because that's really what kind of makes that shape. Kind of like this. I'm trying to see where she kind of puts her camera. Okay, so she kind of finds areas to really kind of push that. It'd be nice if I could weight paint this direction and then use that. I always forget how to weight paint gradient wise. Oh, here we go. Gradient weight paint. Yeah, there we go. That's what I want. So now we can go ahead and go back to object mode. And then let's see. I forget. I always forget. Here we go, vertex group. There we go. That's what I wanted. Because I wanted to be able to be extreme and be able to have a camera here and kind of load everything, which is exactly what it did. So, fun little hack. You can gradient weight paint and make everything go crazy. And then in my case, I'm going to mirror this. I'm going to get a mirror object first. Empty plane axis. Is there a gap there? Not really. I don't know. Let's get a mirror. Get that mirror object empty. Okay, cool. So now we can kind of go crazy. We'll see. We will see. A lot of geometry here. So hopefully, let's go ahead and save because this is when the computer will get heavy. All right. So we use this with this. Head on to geometry nodes. And then we're going to zoom through what we already did. So this will be less follow alongable unless you can kind of do it. All right. POINT, point instance. We're going to go ahead, eyedropper that. Going crazy. Point distribute. Point distribute. There. Let's go ahead and get our fill on our scale to get a good idea of what we're looking at before we randomize a scale. Just all caps. Didn't mean to do that. There we go. There we are. Much better. And then let's go ahead and get a random. Attribute randomize. And then get really small with this. I do also, I'm going to duplicate the plane and then remove geometry nodes. All right, cool. I think there is a way to kind of bring that geometry back, but I want to kind of have some control too. And I haven't quite learned that other process. So we're learning together. This looks about the scale that I want. 0.01 on the minimum. All right. And then really bring that grass back. All right, how are we looking in cycles? Okay, this looks very old, like 2 years ago Beeple, if any of you know what I mean by that. All right, so now my computer's slowing down when I do that, when I really bring up that density. But that's okay, because what we're going to do now is go to the shading and add that other material. The material here. Okay, so now look at this. We've done it. We've pretty much done it. I'm not upset at this like at all. I'm very happy with this. Like in terms of like stylized weird art. Now we can go ahead and add flowers, add all types of things here to this design. Stylistically, this is kind of endless and you can really have some fun with it. I'm so happy with this. I'm gonna add a hue saturation so we can really try to just to see other options. Color-wise, we can go with this. Oh, I meant to do it on the grass. This went better than I thought. I was thinking this would be like another fail. Like, it wasn't quite as good as I wanted. Ooh, that's cool. I'm going to go ahead and add that to the plane below. That's awesome, actually. I'm going to go ahead, let's get a camera and start working on composition. That looks so strange. Does that not look like incredibly strange? All right. Let's get our camera and do this number. Grass can be smaller too, I think. But let's worry about the camera. There we go. And then we'll get a sky. We'll get a HDRI to give us a sky in the background. This is looking cool. This is looking pretty cool. I want to kind of get that displacement and change it. So let's go ahead and hide the grass and just get this. And then in the displacement here on the size, this 3 looks a lot better. So I'm going to go ahead on this plane. Oh, it applied it to both. Good. I thought I was going to have to do it on both. Okay. 3 looks way better on the scale, and then we can get our kind of get our camera here. Sweet. Let's go ahead and grab. Let's try the sky texture that's built into Blender, but I tend to not like it. But we will try it as an attempt. Intensity is usually too big, so 0.5 on the intensity. Sun elevation, let's bring that down. Cool. Sun rotation. It's pretty intense, but it's all right. See, I would definitely change that because it's just not very interesting. There is a pretty cool add-on that I want to try that does really nice dusk backgrounds. I wish I could say it off the top of my head, but I can't. Let's see, what's the best position for our sunset to be? I'm just playing with the rotation. This is nice. Okay. Let's definitely save. And then let's get a just metal ball because we are doing basic abstract design. No originality here. I'm just trying out ideas for a minute. And then let's do real-time materials. Let's do paint. Actually, I want to do scratched paint because that one's a lot more detailed. There we go. And then we can kind of change this to color wheel-wise. The opposite is a green, so we'll do green. Looking cool. All right. Next step is to make this grass smaller and more dense, but not too heavy on my computer. So let's go back to geometry nodes. So here in the minimum, we'll do .01, and then max 0.03, and then bring up the density to like 50. We do want to kind of compensate. So far, we're not getting issues. It's just got to calculate. So let's do 60. We're incrementally going up as to not crash my computer. Still nothing crazy. Let's do 80. Takes a minute to... All right, now we're kind of dipping into lag territory. So we'll stop it here, and we'll see how that looks in cycles. Yeah, that looks a lot better. I'm not too upset with this. Cool. Let's just render it just to see. I am curious about subsurface though. I've not really gone into a whole lot of subsurface material creation. So let's just subsurface the grass to see how it looks. Let's save first. And then, yeah, we'll just take this off. And then we'll make this subsurface. Cool. Plug this into the subsurface color. Definitely harder to render. But it definitely looks more interesting. Let's make this plain subsurface too, just to see what happens. We're getting stylized here, so it doesn't have to be physically accurate to real life. Let's render this and see how it looks, and then we might call it a day, because this is, I don't know how long have I been recording here? Oh, only 12 minutes? Okay, we got plenty of time. Oh, this is the second recording. Yeah, we've probably gone around 30, 40 minutes here. Okay, basically, it's doable in geometry nodes. And we can make really interesting kind of Smeka style. It doesn't have to be just Smeka style, but she definitely has fuller, thicker grass, so we can just up that in the density. But conceptually, we did it. I would replace this background. I'd probably change up the lighting, maybe do a completely different HDRI, but conceptually, we did it. I hope you guys learned some stuff. I definitely learned quite a bit from this process. So yeah, thank you guys on Patreon for supporting, and more content coming this week.